Good afternoon, everybody. Dave Neal here with the Rush Hour podcast on this hump day, January 15th, 2025. Here are all the stories we'll be getting to this afternoon for your ride home. A Hooters waitress was arrested for a DUI. I'll share the body cam footage where she calls the officer daddy, tries to kiss her way out of a ticket, or an arrest, I should say. And she now has made her first public statement following that arrest. Also, comedian Bill Burr comes after the critics of the LA fire response. And Brianna Chicken Fry lands the cover of January's Sports Illustrated Swimsuit digital cover, whatever that means. And I didn't know they had a digital cover, but they do, and she's on it. Plus, Gavin Newsom responds to rumors he is going to be part of a government conspiracy to steal land following the wildfires. Spoiler, he denies it. And several breaking stories. The first, Mr. Beast makes a pitch to buy TikTok. This just happened. Hot breaking news. I'll let you know what this could mean for the app. And way more important, on the humanitarian level, a ceasefire has been announced between Israel and Hamas. I'll share what President Biden had to say about the ceasefire and all these other stories coming up next on The Rush. Well, here it is, President Joe Biden in his final week in office addressing the nation about a ceasefire deal between Israel and Gaza and the hostages involved. Let's go to what he had to say.
Afternoon. It's a very good afternoon because at long last I can announce a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached between Israel and Hamas. More than 15 months of conflict that began with Hezbollah's brutal massacre on October the 7th. More than 15 months of terror for the hostages, their families, the Israeli people. More than 15 months of suffering by the innocent people of Gaza. Fighting in Gaza will stop, and soon the hostages will return home to their families. The elements of this deal were what I laid out in detail this past May, which was embraced by countries around the world and endorsed overwhelmingly by the UN Security Council.
So the question remains, what took so long? Now, regardless of what side politically you're on, you'll probably give credit to whoever you want, Biden or Trump. You might say, well, Biden might have put the deal together, but they're not agreeing to it until Trump's coming into office, where Trump said all hell will rain down on them. Look, here's the deal. All I care about is that this is going to happen. But I do think it took way, way, way too long. And Israel are our allies, but that doesn't mean we just let senseless violence take place. And you might argue, yeah, but Hamas was hiding out in hospitals. Look, you don't get your answers from me, an entertainment news podcast. But some are calling this a genocide that's taken place. It is absolutely horrifying, the amount of innocent lives that have been affected here. And it has to stop. And I don't have a solution. But, honestly, my heart goes out for all of those that have been, subjected innocently to senseless violence. All right, so we got to take a hard left turn. I know it's hard to go from a tough story like that to a story that really means so much less. But here's Mr. Beast just an hour ago saying he's offering to buy TikTok. Have a listen.
I just got out of a meeting with a bunch of billionaires. TikTok, we mean business. This is my lawyer right here. We have an offer ready for you. We want to buy the platform. America deserves TikTok. Give me a seat at the table. Let me save this platform, TikTok.
All right, listen, so Mr. Beast, of course, is one of the most, I should say, biggest platforms in the world ever. He's gigantic. Does he have the money to buy TikTok? Or is this just kind of like, I don't know, some YouTube video he's making? Really, who knows? But in this world, hey, take a shot at it. He clearly knows what he's doing when it comes to social media. So go for it, I say, But either way, right now, TikTok may be banned any day. They really don't know what could go down. Or they could put a pause on shutting it down. And what does even shutting it down look like? Is there a giant lever? We really have no idea. All right, well, Bill Burr is a legend, and it's not for... It's for the reasons you're about to watch. He speaks truth to power. He calls out crazy BS. And as an LA resident, he's saying enough is enough with all the people sitting on their butts online that think they know a thing or two about wildfire management. Here's what he had to say on the Jimmy Kimmel Show.
I heard you had to evacuate your home.
Yes. Like most people, I had to. I got lucky, the winds moved, but, the fire was coming and all that stuff. So I feel lucky.
Are you guys back in?
And I think everybody did a great job.
Yeah.
Unlike the internet, you know?
Yeah, right. I know. It's right.
Oh, my God. All of these fire experts. Why didn't you just fly a helicopter into the ocean?
Yeah, it's the same thing. All the epidemiologists that came out, the virologists that came out during the, it's like we all learn a little bit of information and we want to share it with others to show that we're smart. It's, it's fine. It's like, let the internet do internet things. But when you're recklessly sharing information that only has a fragment of the truth, it really does become super dangerous.
And then just, I don't know, because there was 100-knot winds. You want to do that? You want to do that at night, you lunatic?
How are you?
This was definitely mismanaged.
That's a big word we're hearing now.
Mismanaged, like some idiot on the internet knows how to manage the worst fire in LA, sitting there in his underwear. You know what? Looking at the footage on the internet, I have determined that this here was mismanaged.
By the way, I want to explain all of the elements of comedy that he's doing right now. And I know when you explain a joke, you kill the joke. But he's got a narrator point of view, which means he's presenting to you. Then he's got third person, which means he's playing what's the thing with the internet? That's third person point of view. First person would be, and then I said to him, that would be first person, right? So he's doing narrator point of view, third person point of view, and then he's also using a little hyperbole with the voice, but also describing in color. You're sitting there in your underwear. I could have done that. And then so it comes off so naturally, but I just listed 3 or 4 different things he's doing to perfection to say, hey, internet, you don't always know everything, all right? So anyhow, great work by Bill Burr. Not that he needs to hear it from me. All right, great work from one Bostonian Bill Burr to another Brianna Chicken Fry. The Bill Burr of Barstool Swimsuit calendars. She's a Barstool podcaster. Burning it up for the Sports Illustrated Swimsuit. Eat your heart out, Zach Bryan. Now, this is what's funny because they probably booked her when the internet was loving her following the Zach Bryan breakup. She turned down a $12 million NDA, but then after that, she had a falling out with her friend Grace, and then people hated her. The internet moves fast, folks. Either way, she's on the new digital calendar, which, again, I have no idea what a digital calendar is. They call it a calendar. I call it an Instagram post. Oh, come check out my digital calendar of my podcast. It's like, what do they? It's like the Sports Illustrated Swimsuit. God bless them. If you were a teen like myself and you had Sports Illustrated, that one time out of the year you could see people in a bikini. It was amazing. Now we got Instagram. It's like, take a back seat. I mean, Instagram really did kill the Sports Illustrated Swimsuit. And finally, they're evolving to having a monthly digital calendar. So how good? If you're not going to print it in live papers, it doesn't mean anything. Either way, good for her. All right, I got a story for you. You want redemption? You want a feel-good story? Yesterday, or maybe this morning, we covered unhinged Eagles fan who he basically called this lady an ugly C word. Yeah, that's right. By C word, I mean an ugly Chiefs fan. I mean, you know what I mean? And anyway, he's an Eagles fan, and there was a lady, she's cheering on, I believe, the Packers, and he was clapping in her face, and he took things to the next level. And hey, maybe he was upset that there was someone from an opposing team sitting in his level. Oh, the disgrace of somebody on an opposing team sitting in your section. Either way, here's the response from his company. Of course, he was videotaped there, and he no longer has a job. BCT Partners, a consulting firm that specializes in DEI services and solutions, announced the move Tuesday night, saying project manager Ryan Caldwell's words during the altercation with the female cheesehead were highly offensive and misogynistic. I mean, not only that, it was scary. This was a scary situation. You don't want to see that. I mean, he should be banned from the stadium for life, right? I mean, I think so. I'm not going to play the tape again. The firm decided to cut ties after an internal personal investigation and slammed Caldwell on his way out. We condemn our former employee's conduct in the strongest possible terms, BCD Partners said in a statement. This individual's conduct and language were vile, disgusting, unacceptable, and horrific and have no place in our workplace and society. Such conduct is not who we are and not what we stand for. Well, I got to say, I mean, they fired him within 24 hours of this story going viral. Does that mean cancel culture wins? I don't think so. If I had an employee that I had hired to work for my company and I found out they were treating somebody else like this, you gotta go. But my First Amendment rights, sir. Yes, your speech is protected, but you can also be fired for morality causes and for not being a good human. And don't let the door hit you on the way out. What's it? Don't let something hit you where the good Lord split you. However it works. Get the hell out of the building. All right. My next story coming up, we have the LA Wildfire Benefit Concert coming up. An overwhelming response from musicians. We'll have that for you next. Well, I think I've made my opinion pretty clear. While I think it's great that they have benefit concerts for the victims of the wildfires, I really want to live in a society where our tax dollars fully funds disaster relief. And by that I mean whether you're experiencing the ravages of a flood from the hurricanes in the Carolinas or a wildfire in California, I think we shouldn't have to rely on a quote-unquote insurance company to handle that. I think if it's deemed a natural disaster, we should find a way to take care of people so that we can live in a world where we're not white-knuckling it, thinking, oh, we could get wiped out with medical debt, we could get wiped out by a hurricane, and all these fears. That doesn't help humanity, and that doesn't help us move forward. Those are my thoughts. With that said, there's a wildfire benefit concert that's coming up. Overwhelming response from musicians. They literally have double the musicians that want to be a part of it because, who doesn't want stage time, right? But what kind of musicians will they have? That's what we're going to wait and see. The Eagles, the band, has already donated several $1 million, so we'll have to see if they're part of the benefit. My thought is this. Rather than, when the dust has settled, both metaphorically and physically, why don't they just do this? Have a benefit concert at Rose Bowl Stadium, do another one at SoFi Stadium, and maybe do a third one at the Rose. What did I say? I said Rose Bowl. Do a third one at the Coliseum. Do them all at the same time, or do them 3 nights in a row. Make this colossal. Let's bond each other based on the common goodwill of humanity. I think, bring them all back. I want every musician, get them in line. Let's get them to perform. All right. Well, now we have a response from California Governor Gavin Newsom denying claims here. This is posted. This was from Valuetainment. This is the Patrick Bet David podcast. And look, sometimes they have good stuff on there, and there's a lot of good conversations about, different movements in the country, but they clearly skew Republican, which again, this isn't even a political conversation. This is more a conspiratorial conversation. But the post from Wall Street Apes said California Governor Gavin Newsom officially setting the stage for developers to come and buy up the devastated land in the LA Pacific Palisades fires. Gavin says it on camera on national TV. Now, I already know this is completely disingenuous because that's not what was being said. Do you really think the California governor would say on national TV, oh yeah, we're going to sell these homes to all private developers? There is a problem with private developers and private equity firms having money to come in and scoop up homes. Absolutely. Is that happening here? Well, I'm going to share exactly what the response was. But of course, Gavin Newsom says categorically no. Here's what Vinny had to say on the Patrick Bet David podcast.
Where Newsom is talking about calling Josh Green, the Maui fires, okay, they exposed the same stuff that's happening right now. Government failure, delayed response, ignored warnings, and all these priorities. He says something about reimagining California where he calls the Maui guy, and this is what bothers me, Tom, those people that you're talking about now that have nothing, okay, that the house was worth, let's say, $10 million in regard to insurance. Now, if somebody comes and wants to buy up the land, Tom, they can offer them way less and say, listen, everything's gone. You didn't have the right insurance. We're going to give you this much money cash, Tom. Go about your business. Am I right?
People that had their house paid off.
Yes.
That, for some of them that don't have the resources and were underinsured, that is their only choice.
Jeez.
To sell the land to tomorrow's developer and go somewhere.
So when he says this...
Now, by the way, that doesn't mean that won't happen. There might be people who have another property and they say, you know what, I'm just going to sell it. I don't want to deal with it. Sure, that's going to happen. People have the free will to do that. My hope is that they're able to rebuild and take care of all of those issues. And what's going to come of the insurance companies, I'm not really sure. There is an insurance commission that said they're going to hold the insurance companies to make sure that they actually do provide the home's value.
Pat, isn't this a worrisome thing where he says he called him, and you mind if we look at his face?
I want to is this about insurance?
It's about the land grabbing the land.
Oh, okay. Play this clip, Rob.
We're dealing with a myriad of issues. I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor
funny.
Down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in.
ideas around speculators coming in. It doesn't mean that they want that to happen. It's how do we stop the speculators from coming in? Am I like living in a delusional world here?
Buying up properties and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward. And
to move those things forward. So the cynical mind would say to move those things forward where you allow new people to come in and buy up the land. I'm pretty confident in my critical thinking skills that he's saying the exact opposite here. So he responds, this is absolutely false. I signed an executive order to protect residents from predatory land speculators and developers. Well, case closed. Case closed. It's wild, the culture war raging amongst people like Megyn Kelly here, who just want to really prey on everybody's worst instincts. Have a listen to this.
These three women who are at the top there are all, I mean, honestly, I'm not trying to be mean, but they're obese. These are overweight, out of shape women. And the last thing I want to see if I am in a burning building is A, a woman, and B, an obese woman. Who takes comfort? I'm going to die, but it's in the presence of an obese lesbian.
So this is absolutely insane. I actually debated sharing this clip because it's so offensive. First of all, in all of the footage I saw of the wildfires, I didn't see one. I saw mostly men putting the wildfires out. I think most fire departments are predominantly men. But that's neither the point here, because she's arguing like sort of a false argument that there's only one option, a woman pulling you out of a fire or a man. Sure. I absolutely understand the very dumb argument that you would rather the strongest person pull somebody out of a fire, but that's not the only job that fire people do, right? I don't know. My jaw is dropped at some of the dumb arguments being made. But on the other hand, it's like, you kind of know exactly what Megyn Kelly's doing here, right? You know exactly what she's doing. She's playing on people's anger and fear and frustration that this fire was caused because of these different issues. I actually heard it said great on the Pod Save America podcast, where they said a conspiratorial mind would rather believe that this was a human error because they don't want to believe that a fire could just be so out of control that it wipes out a whole community. And it's like, sorry to say, hurricanes, fires, tornadoes, we can't always prevent them. We can try our best, but they're going to happen and they're going to rage on in the worst case scenarios. So you don't just get to blame someone for their, not raking the forest and think that, all right, well, I'm on the right side. If they just rake the forest, this won't happen to me as long as I live in my safe community that rakes the forest. It's so much more complicated for that, but social media doesn't like complicated things. All right, coming up next, we have actor Bill Hader. He was visibly shaken up discussing the wildfire in his neighborhood in Los Angeles. Have a listen to this.
Anything people keep saying is like unreal, and it doesn't seem. Sorry, I'm in shock. It's just gone. That's everything. But I'm glad my family got out, and I feel this is such a great community, and. It's just, I really am like at a loss for words. I mean, yeah,
So there it is. It's almost more, I don't know, frustrating or sad when you see a person who's normally joking around and doing funny bits to see how serious they are when they see the devastation. And as everyone says, there's just nothing that can prepare you for that devastation when you come across it. All right, let's take a turn to a different story here. Now, this came out last week. I actually didn't cover it, but it's Hooters waitress arrested for DUI, tried to flirt her way out of trouble. Well, now we have what she's saying. She's actually spoken publicly, but let's first cover this story.
A traffic stop in Sarasota is going viral after the driver is caught on body camera trying to flirt her way out of trouble. And while a lot of people are laughing at this exchange, police say this was no laughing matter.
Yeah, Fox 13's Aaron Mesmer shows us why.
Oh. You all right?
Yes.
A little stumble. What's your first name?
Sophia.
And an introduction. We are going to investigate a DUI.
So then she says she was never driving. And my general thought is, what's wrong with little flirting your way out of it? Now, of course, a DUI is you're putting people's lives at risk. And sadly, you could go away for life if you commit vehicular manslaughter. Absolutely. But with that said, can't we agree it's worth shooting your shot here?
Swear to God.
But you were driving.
I was not.
22-year-old Sophia Ross, a Hooters waitress, didn't seem to recall driving her car. When the officer asks Ross to participate in a sobriety test, the interaction goes from strange.
Okay, do you want to try this first exercise for me?
I will do anything for you, Daddy.
Whoa! She says, I will do anything for you, Daddy. Now, guys, I'm only kidding. Obviously, this is a cop doing his job. He doesn't need to be hit on. People will use anything they can to get out of traffic violations or what they know is going to be an arrest. And she knows she's absolutely screwed, but she still tries to give him a smooch.
Inappropriate.
We're going to make out here.
Okay.
We're going to make out here.
No, we're not.
I can't keep my hands off him. Sorry.
Unfortunately, you're going to have to.
The officer
She goes, I can't keep my hands off him, sorry. And he says, unfortunately, you're going to have to.
can be heard ignoring the advances and warning an unfazed Ross that his body camera is recording everything.
Everything that we do.
Don't be such a nerd, bro.
Don't be such a nerd, bro. I'm a hot young Hooters waitress. I'm giving you some of those Hooters wings you hear about.
And that body cam is public record.
I am a nerd. Show it to the body cam. I am a nerd.
So for those listening to the audio only, she then, I guess, flashes. She still has an undershirt on, but she says, I am a nerd, and she flashes. Either way, look, she was wasted. Now, she shouldn't have been driving. I also believe we all shouldn't be judged based on our worst moments, and for a 22-year-old, it's a pretty bad moment. But here's what she has to say. Let's see if the sober version of the DUI Hooters waitress has any sort of compassion for how she would, put herself in such a bad situation.
I've gotten so many comments saying, 2025 Hawk Tua girl, and Hawk Tua walked so she could run. And honestly, she's a legend. I 100% look up to her. And it's because you can see that authenticity in a person. And the people that are real can see through the shallow people and see.
All right, I hate this girl. I'm sorry. I thought she would sober up and say, I'm really sorry. I didn't know what I was thinking, but no, she's doubling down. Okay, F this girl.
Through the people that are just putting on a face, putting on a front, putting on an act, and instead of letting their raw, real personality shine through and just, be themselves. And that's what I admire about her.
Well, you're being a nerd, bro. Okay, so that was her talking about Hawk Tua. Okay, so so if she's gonna say I admire her for all those great things, and maybe she'll take a little ownership. Let's have a listen.
Both got caught on camera on a night out, and it took off. And
yeah, but the Hawk Tua girl was caught on camera on her feet, not driving a car drunk. You know what I mean? There's a little bit difference here. People have died, people have lost their loved ones due to drunk driving. And there should be absolutely zero leniency for drunk driving. And for her to compare herself to Hawk Tua girl is insane right now.
And my friends will tell you, that's me when I'm sober. That's just my personality. I can't take anything seriously. Some may view that as a fault, but I think that life's too short to take anything too seriously. Obviously, this is a serious situation, and it's drinking and driving is not okay.
Don't be a nerd, bro. What side of this are you on? So she's all over the place. Yikes. All right, you're not the Hawk Tua girl. And by that I mean, she has one thing in common with the Hawk Tua girl. They both might do jail time. All right, I got my tongue twisted here. All I do, I'm craving fried pickles now. Hooters has great fried pickles. All right, anyone want to send some over to me? All right, we have so many stories we haven't gotten to, so we'll have to save them for tomorrow morning. But, you go on a rant and you run out of time here. Well, I have an update. Someone had messaged me based on this morning's podcast, The Rush Hour. They said, it is true. They were mocking Justin. This in response to Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds confirming that there was Deadpool mockery of Justin Baldoni. Look, I don't necessarily disagree that they mocked Justin Baldoni. And by the way, I love the comments. I love when you guys tell me, hey, you got it wrong, or there's more to the story. God knows I get things wrong, right? Once in a while, once in a blue moon, don't be a nerd, bro. Fact check. But every once in a while, it's look, whether or not Blake and Ryan Reynolds wrote a scene in Deadpool that made fun of Justin Baldoni, that would say something about their character, sure, that they were willing to bully and have some inside joke about some guy that they don't like. But I think that's irrelevant to the other actual legal issues. Like, that's not illegal to do, to mock somebody else. Otherwise, I'd be in big trouble. Either way, here is what Popcorn Planet posted. I had a hard time finding this clip, so I wonder if it was being scrubbed. But here's the clip of Nice Pool, which was a guy that was supposed to be, it was Ryan Reynolds' version of Justin Baldoni. There is one damning comparison. Have a listen.
I mean, so specific.
I'd be fighting alongside them, but my calling is to one day host a podcast that monetizes the women's movement.
There it is. Host a podcast that monetizes the women's movement. And that's exactly what he's accusing Justin Baldoni of doing, being sort of like a modern feminist. And then, of course, them unearthing the fact that they think he's a creep. And that's what the big lawsuit's going to be, whether or not anything illegal happened. And from either side, really, there's multiple lawsuits going in all directions. It's going to take a very, very long time for this to play out. There's going to be lost wages, lost job opportunities. And again, I'm going on the side of, while this might be in poor taste from Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, it's certainly not illegal. And for Justin Baldoni's side, I mean, what are they going to do? How are they going to hold Disney accountable for this? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't really buy it. But either way, yeah, that's that. What an eclectic sort of range of stories we had today. A lot going on. If you didn't check out our YouTube today, I had a 90-minute conversation with a financial expert to discuss the Bachelor Clayton Laura Owens saga that's going on. And we talked a lot about the predatory loans and how their home might be underwater, financially speaking. Very interesting conversation, especially if you don't know a thing about finances, because I think Tiff, our good pal, did a good job of laying it all out and explaining it, breaking it down for us. So go check that out on YouTube. And don't forget to share us with friends. I appreciate you. We'll see you in the morning. I'm Dave Neal, and this is The Rush.